like a week from now or 2 weeks, or it's not like we can really know for sure, right? It's it's the first two. Well, I guess Booster 19 is technically not the first booster version 3, but it's the first one that's past cryo. Let's put it that way, right? So as first time builds, we we cannot really say for sure these are going to be the timelines just because we've seen some timelines before. They either beat those past timelines because now they have more experience, even though they're new builds, and blah blah blah, right? Or because they are new builds, they are having troubles, or they need to work more carefully around these vehicles and all that. It's a balance, right? So guesses are very fluid. I've been guessing for a while though that Flight 12 might happen like March April timeframe. It's looking like it might be that timeframe, right? Are saying, Elon talking about 6 weeks, like 4 weeks ago or something like that. Um, it's one of those things that we really cannot tell for sure whether it's going to be next month or not. I think it's more likely to be in April now, but we'll see.
I think too as well. But it's also a bonus because that's not far away. And we have been waiting a long gap between Flight 11 and Flight 12. So when we talk about, potential of April, it's not that far away. And Max, I've got a crossover episode for you here now. NASA's just told us via media, we get media releases because obviously we're part of media, that there's an Artemis news conference at 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Yes.
So that will be updating status on SLS. Max, what's the chances Artemis 2 and Flight 12 align and cause us major headaches?
Stop it. I don't stop it, Chris. Well, it depends on the factors in this equation are many and none of them work together. So depending, I think first and foremost, on one hand of the equation, it all depends on how the repairs and the work on SLS go. They just got back into the VAB last night, and I believe we're hard down by 10 p.m. or so. And when we went to, oh my God, I voted for methane. Yeah, I mean, hydrogen was not the issue; it was helium. I know. We also talked about that yesterday, but SLS is back in the VAB, and that completely threw off my entire train of thought. Good grief, jump scare. So hydrogen isn't the issue. They had to work on the helium bottles in the ICPS, or the interim cryogenic propulsion stage. And by the time we went back into the VAB today to pick up cameras, all of the work platforms around the ML and also around the rocket itself were already extended. As you can see, we have a bunch of merch right now. I voted for methane. I mean, it is arguably a superior propellant. I think that is a fair assessment. But yeah, it depends on how the work with SLS goes, and how long that takes, and also how the timeline evolves with ship and booster sides of the Flight 12 equation. If I can see Artemis still targeting the early April launch window, depending on what happens. Obviously, I mean, I think we'll know more by tomorrow morning in that press conference. But I think mid-April is the most likely outcome for Flight 12, assuming all goes well and all is on track for ship cryo, ship static fire, and booster static fire as well. So again, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm praying to God that that is not like these two interfering with each other. Like Star Glen was already an event in itself with being New Glenn Flight 1, and then also Starship Flight 7, which was the first flight of the Block 2 variant of ship RIP. So yeah, lots of factors in the equation, but I'm really hoping that is not the case.
I've got a bone to pick as a fan of Hydrolox shuttle rockets.
Yes.
Is methane really better? Well, I always thought hydrogen was better for the impulse. And Ryan, help me out here. Is there really a case of methane being better, or methane, or what you wanted to pronounce it as? But I always thought Hydrolox vehicles had the advantage.
Well, Hydrolox is great when you're in space. It's got a much better impulse for, like, like Centaur is a fantastic upper stage because of its performance capabilities. Because Hydrolox has can have great specific impulses. But if you really want to put a bunch into space from the surface of Earth, Hydrolox is not, I repeat, is not the fuel to do it with. It's either RP1 or methane. I'm sorry. You can get a lot more thrust,
Yeah.
a lot more bang for your buck out of it. Just look at look how much mass Starship can put up with that. With that, imagine if you tried to do Hydrolox Starship. Good luck.
It would be probably 1 2/3 the size that it is now, because that's one of the other trade-offs is propellant density. Hydrogen
Yeah.
is I think one of, if not the least dense elements on the table, and its
Not counting
molecules
helium,
are
but yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
It's
Very hard to make liquid helium.
Yes, very, very small and very leak prone as a result. And because it's not dense, you need a lot more of it to get the same amount of performance that you otherwise would with methane or RP1. And that is why, if you look at the core stage of SLS, the LH2 tank is orders of magnitude larger than the LOX tank. Like the LOX tank is like maybe what, the top sixth maybe of the core stage. The rest is either LH2 tank or the LVSA, or the launch vehicle stage adapter. It's basically 80% LH2 tank. It's insane how how undense it is, really.
Just
Go ahead.
Just to put it in perspective, because I actually looked up the numbers. Compared to the density of water, liquid hydrogen is like 7% of the density of the water. Methane is 42%. So it's
That's
like
insane.
about half as dense. Meanwhile, hydrogen is like only 7% the density of water. Liquid oxygen is actually denser than water in that case. Like if you were to be able to put liquid oxygen and water together, and the water does not freeze and all that, it will sink down to the bottom of the tank. So yeah, that's the thing.
It's very temperamental. It's very expensive to work with, not just with your launch vehicle, but also with your equipment on the ground that has to handle it. As we have seen numerous times already with both SLS and also the entire space shuttle era, because the shuttle also had its share of LH2 issues.
Even Apollo.
Yeah, even Apollo, and also Delta IV Heavy, RIP.
And Atlas.
If you're trying to build a launch vehicle that you can fly often and regularly, LH2 is not the way to go, because of how temperamental it can be, both on the ground side of the systems and also on the vehicle itself. It's nowhere near as efficient in terms of like workflow, perhaps.
Yeah.
I'm just loving this view, by the way. I've completely by the way, if you're a fan of particular propellants, we do have a range in our store now which kind of caters to your need. If you've probably seen them pop up on the thing, but use the blame commands. I like blame 3. It's the latest one, which is the methane one. Or methane, I don't care how you pronounce it, it's the same thing. But there it is, ship 39 rolling down Highway 4 at some speed. I mean, it's the same speed as normal, but it does catch me out from time to time. I also know we've got a lot of good questions in chat. We will go through them all. This stream won't be a short stream, it'll be a long one, so we'll get through them all. Bear with us while we do it. We have the CRS-33 undocking coming up. We'll have Ryan Caton coming on to introduce and cover that one very shortly, so that's coming up as well. So it's a full packed day of fun, and that's what we like. We like it being busy. We do say it's always something going on, but that is something where we go back to the shuttle days where it was 3 months between launches. And while I would like to cover the processing flows and what have you, the actual events itself, like rollouts and rollovers and the actual launch itself and the missions and what have you, will be once every 3 months. And it's now crazy compared to those eras. So if you've just got into spaceflight, you're a new person who's just got into it, be it young or old, and you're just starting to get interested in this, it's an excellent time to get interested in it because there's so much going on. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the tip of the iceberg. There is a lot bigger events coming up where we actually start seeing these vehicles sending humans out into deep space to the moon and then eventually Mars. That Mars plan has not gone away. It's just a refocused on the moon first. I want to thank some people because I just looked in my left-hand corner and seen so much support. I want to thank those people. J. Michael Duty, I pronounced your name terribly, I'm sure I have. In your view, what is the biggest bottlenecks in 2024 to 2020 and 2025, excluding the V2 issues? And do you expect those same bottlenecks to still be limiting in 2026? Salutations from Quebec, Texas, Tank Watcher Bacon. What a long one. Everything's in there, and a bacon was thrown in. Right. Basically, let's round it down, Ryan. Do we expect the same issues we've seen with the V2 on V3, or are you confident this has probably been a resolution point now?
So, in terms of the biggest bottlenecks that occurred, and I can't even include 2023 in this thing, SpaceX needed to figure out how to get booster working. That was step number one. After doing suborbital hops with the ship, the next step was to get get a few ships through reentry. And yeah, they did have their V2 issues, which I would honestly call that bottlenecks because they needed to figure out how not to make that happen. I still think there are some bottlenecks that are related, which is get booster working. This booster is not even remotely the same one that flew on Flight 11. Not even close. The plumbing is entirely different. The transfer tube, the plumbing, the tanks, pretty much everything on this booster is different. It's 9 meters wide, about a little bit about the same height, and it's stainless steel. Those are about that's about where the similarities end. Not gonna lie, that's about where it is, and it's even using a different engine. They're gonna have to start not really from scratch, but I think this flight, in a lot of ways, Ship 39 is more of a glorified nose cone for Booster 19. If it works and they get past stage separation and 39 gets to reentry, awesome. That's a win. But what they really need out of this flight is for 19 to work. That is the biggest thing. If 39 works, that's a bonus.
I think for everything they solved with version 2, they had like 1 or like 2 more come in for every problem they solved for version 2, just because of how new version 3 is, both on the booster side of the equation and also ship. Especially with a Raptor 3 in itself, which has yet to fly at all, and how much flight data they were actually able to get with Raptor 2 between flights 1 through 11. So yeah, it's going to be interesting one way or the other. But booster really does need to work, and if that doesn't work on the first flight, we may be in for a bit of a headache.
I do wonder, since we're seeing Dragon here, if we're gonna get a ship-to-ship docking during this year.
They have to, yeah, because
Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. Well, one of SpaceX's goals for this year is ship-to-ship propellant transfer in orbit, and they have to do that this year if they have any chance of maintaining their HLS commitments or the human landing system commitments with NASA, given the current time frame of a lunar landing in 2028. They have to. It isn't if, it's they need to. They have to. It was a bit of an upset for version 2 having its headaches, but version 3 cannot afford any mistakes of the sort.
Very good. I have so many. I'm going to do a quick bunch of thank yous because I know we've got Ryan Caton joining us very shortly for the view on the left-hand side of CRS-33. Let me do a quick little panel maintenance ahead of Ryan joining this commentary, so I make sure I don't miss people out. Rick became a PADREP member. Thank you, Rick. 321 Astra wants the gateway to Mars sign back. Well, you might be gateway to Moon. That's the way that's going. Gareth Cole has gifted 5 Red Team memberships. Very much appreciated. And lots of other questions coming up as well. We have a long stream covering Ship 39, so we can come back to those questions relating to Ship 39. But I think we should talk a little bit about the ISS. With Ship 33. Hang on a minute. It's CRS-33, a Dragon. It's not even a Starship. Set to undock. Ryan, welcome to the stream to talk about ISS stuff.
Hello, everybody. What a wonderful afternoon. Well, it's not even afternoon yet in Starbase, technically. What a wonderful clear blue skies for a ship to roll out, and clear black skies, I guess, from the International Space Station, or no sky from the International Space Station. But yeah, two very exciting events coming up in, well, one currently underway, another one happening in about 12 and a half minutes' time. So lots of exciting things happening today. It's always, we wait for all of these different events. They're originally scheduled at nice separate times, and then just like we've seen with the Artemis 2 wet dress rehearsal, you wait for one event and then two come at once. But yeah, very, very exciting day ahead of us. And of course, an exciting weekend with even more launches on the way. And SpaceX confirming that all of the cargo is loaded, the hatch is closed, and Dragon is ready for an on-time departure from the space station, which is great news because, well, at least one of these vehicles is going to be departing on time because, of course, Ryan, the ship was meant to be rolling a few days ago at this point. Not exactly this morning/afternoon.
Well, they had the closure set for last night. I don't think the closure before that was ever for 39. I think that one was for the some of the testing equipment they rolled to Massey's because they're gonna. It looks like they're gonna move some test tanks around and possibly roll out another test tank to do some more testing because they're really testing Block 3, and I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see how much they're testing this thing. I really am. Compared to what they've tested in past vehicles, I still think it's funny to this day that they in the past they've like tested the hot stage ring like a week or two before flight. I think that was before flight 2. Like it was not long before the flight that they tested that thing. So it's nice to see this all like long before they flies. But yeah, it's Ship 39's out. They finally have the trust structure ready for it, and we're finally see some Block 3 ship testing. It's about time, to say the least.
Yeah, I do have to agree. It is about time because we've been waiting so long for this moment, and we've seen so many delays and mishaps and oopsie daisies and unfortunate events. So, fingers crossed everything goes smoothly for Ship 39. I think we all want everything to go smoothly for Ship 39. And fingers crossed it goes quickly as well as going smoothly because, as you were just talking about, there is a lot of stuff that's coming for Starship, and they really need to get going with this program because Elon time, the timelines have been slipping even more than Elon time. It feels like sometimes. So yeah, fingers crossed they can really get pushing in 2026 and have a bit of a better year in 2025. I think that's safe to hope for.
You know what's strange? Like we haven't seen a ship roll in this direction since Ship 36 last June.
No, Ship 38.
Oh, you're right. It did. Oh my God.
It
Never
did the
mind.
crash,
Disregard.
The
Disregard.
last time a ship was at Massey's was Ship 38 Cryo. And that was when it left Massey's on July 31st, so 211 days ago was when the
which
last time we had a ship
still
at
isn't much
Massey's.
better, to be honest.
No, we haven't had a ship static fire at Massey's since 36's single engine static fire on the 16th of June last year.
Yeah.
So it's a long time coming. It's nice to finally see it again. And the new stand they built, the new tank farm system they built is far superior than the one they had. They redesigned it from the ground up. It's much more protected. So if a RUD like 36 were to happen again, it would mostly just be the QD and the gantry and some other of the pipes that would have to get replaced. The methane tank farm and the main valves and everything should be fully protected and fine. And not only that, they've also upgraded the electrical system. So if another event like 36 were to happen, they can shut off electrical to a single part of Massey's now, if I remember correctly, rather than last time where when the anomaly occurred, they had to shut all power to Massey's off because it was all integrated. And they've been basically running on generators for the last 10 months. So, or however long it's been like 8-9 months or whatever. but it's been a while.
Although, Max, your statement would still be true if you amended it, I believe, to just say on this specific stand, because of course
Also
we haven't
true.
seen a
Yes.
static fire, so no need for the static fire stand. But of course they're not static firing this time, as we have talked about on the stream. Not that long ago, they don't have any engines on board, but of course they are needing to use this stand to go out to Massey's this time around because there's so many test tanks.
I want to touch on that specific thing because I'm seeing people that have been asking like, how do we know that they don't have engines installed, right? Because we have not seen engines going into the bay, but they could have done that sort of, behind the scenes or undercover, whatever you want to call it, right? Like, do we have any sort of way of telling other than we have not seen any engines going into the bay?
Not really. We don't really have any other way to tell.
All right.
But I find it a little bit hard to believe considering the testing stuff that they've got on the ship and whatnot. I don't think they would have engines on it. I would assume they would cryo it, and I still think they're going to roll it back out for thrust sim after the fact, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I wanted to clear that out and sort of talk about this because it's like we are very sure, right, that there's no engines or anything. It's not like we can even see underneath of this stand because it's got this access platform underneath of the ship, right? Like it's right there blocking the view of the engines. So it's not like we can look up and figure out by ourselves that there's engines or not, right? But there's a small non-zero chance, right, that because we don't know for sure, maybe there is, and now, suddenly they get some kind of surprise static fire. I don't expect that, to be honest. Like, my personal opinion is that there's definitely no engines installed, but I wanted to talk about that because you never know.
They don't want to do a pull a booster 4. When booster 4, when they installed all those engines on it and then they went out and cryoed it, due to the stuff that was inside the tanks, and of course the stuff that was inside the tank farm, they basically destroyed the engines that they had on there. They made them more or less not usable as well as the internal plumbing. They don't want to do that again, so I highly doubt there are engines on this. They'll cryo it, do the testing they got, roll it back, and they'll static fire it in like 4 weeks or something like that. It'd be my guess.
You do realise we have cameras dotted along the side of the road, and which could probably look up at the
There's a
engine bay
work
and see there
platform
aren't
in
any
there,
engines.
so we can't see it.
Oh,
Yeah, we cannot.
boo.
I literally mentioned that, right?
Yeah.
We cannot look up, unfortunately.
I
mean, we
used to be
can,
able to,
but
we
you
used to
wouldn't
be
see
able to do
anything.
that. But
Yeah.
then they made a work platform, and then they roll with the work platform up, so they prevented us from ever seeing that. So yeah.
Yeah, you can look up, but all you'll see is just the underside of that platform. That's all you'll see.
4 minutes and 40 seconds away from the scheduled, we turn our attention to that.
And also, of particular was launched, if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to look it up here. It was in August, if I'm looking at this. Yeah, August 24th, and so it's been staying at that port on the front side of the station ever since, and so it's the longest that we've seen any of these cargo dragons up there. Of course, crew dragons have been staying up there for longer. We've seen, for example, Crew Dragon Endeavor stayed up for 8 months during one of its missions. So definitely not the record holder for all dragons, but definitely for Cargo Dragon. And it's been very useful because through those reboosts during different parts of the mission, they've been able to save some of the propellant on the Russian side of the station's life to be supply missions and things like that. We talk about the ISS students, for example, to the ISS. At least they'll depart, I think, 2 months before the final 2 months of the station, essentially, and then they'll depart and things being using this Cargo Dragon for.
And this cargo Dragon has flown a couple of times before, previously flying on CRS-29 and CRS-26 in 2023 and 2022, respectfully. Lots of 20s in there. Has been sent to Dragon, so it is currently in the process of getting ready to physically separate from the International Space Station, its forward port where it has been docked ever since it arrived all the way back in August of last year. The first set of locks are now open.
Yep, there are 6 hooks that attach physically the vehicle to the station, and those open. And funny enough, there's no springs or anything. So in order to physically, like, once they open, Dragon is just floating there next to the docking port. But to actually physically separate away, it needs to fire thrusters. So since we are in daylight, we may not fully see those thrusters firing, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's always very tricky in space to be able to expose to see really dim thruster movements because, you know, it turns out space is really bright because you have the sun there. It looks like we're having a little tedious handover here potentially from the space station, but fingers crossed that those views return. But you know, knowing our luck, this is brilliant timing here for CRS-33. But we will stand by and hopefully those views do return just in time. "10 seconds away from the estimated undock time. You're looking live now at Mission Control in Houston, which is where the International Space Station is controlled from on NASA's end. Of course, there are multiple control rooms all around the world in Russia, in Japan, in Europe.
And this
In the
is
meantime, though,
important. I was actually going to connect this with Starship because it's like they're going to connect ship to ship and things like that. Like all of this is training for that. Just with the ISS, right? Docking and undocking and all that stuff. It's rather important.
allowing the probe to go in the drogue.
Yeah, the docking system of Starship, it's quite unique for SpaceX themselves because Dragon uses... there we go.
And there we go. We have visual separation of Dragon away from the International Space Station. Undocking confirmed at 12:05 Eastern Time, 17:05 Coordinated Universal Time. And you can now see Dragon backing away, and it will start to... almost looks like it's pitching down as it starts to kind of fly up and away from the International Space Station, at least in this perspective.
So with that undocking now confirmed, that means this Dragon has officially been at the station for the longest for the cargo Dragons at 185 days and 6 hours, with a total time spent in space of 269 days, at least docked to the station, 269 days, 3 hours, and 24 minutes across its 3 missions. So there you go. Also record holder with the most time spent at the station by any cargo Dragon.
Very much a record setter and a well-proven spacecraft at this point. As Dragon C211 continues to back away from the International Space Station, and it will be returning to Earth over the next few hours, scheduled to splash down in the Pacific Ocean just off the coast of California. Looks like we've got another loss of signal there from the space station, but we can of course go back to Starbase and keep watching Ship 39 as it rolls out to the Massey's test site. And in the meantime, we have gotten a lot of support. Chris said he was going to try and get through a good chunk of it before I arrived, but even more has come in since that point. So I should thank Farad for their support here. £20 tip to tip.nasaspaceflight.com. Thank you for your support. Asking if we have any plans of any other close-up cameras at other SpaceX sites. We do have cameras, of course, at the Kennedy Space Center press site, which is about as close as you can get there. So that is We already have those on Space Coast Live, and very usefully, it looks like the oh, it's back. The panel crashed for a second there as I was starting to go through support, but it looks like it's back. There we go. Astro95 Media, we know who you are. Welcome back to the stream with a $20 support. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. Looking like Flight 12's no earlier than. It's threading an availability needle for me in April, so hopefully I'll see you all there. Make us proud, Ship 39. Fingers crossed the testing goes well to get to that point. And it looks like the live views have now returned as well from the International Space Station, which is great to see. We have Ben Newbury with a $10 super. Thank you for your support, asking what are the odds that Artemis 2 and Flight 12 happen in the same windows? Right now, not impossible. I will go to Ryan Webber, who is always, very optimistic on the Starship launch dates.
Let's see here. What Artemis 2's next set that it would make would be, was it April 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, right? I am going to say with absolute certainty, and this is on me, that Flight 12 will fly after Artemis 2. So Artemis 2 will go first no matter what, and it won't even be close. It'll be I think it'll be a few weeks apart. So I said it first. I'll say it.
Well, knowing our luck, they're now going to happen within a couple of hours of each other.
I think Weber's law is now in full appliance here.
Which law is that one? Well,
If he says something isn't going to happen, it's going to happen.
okay. We'll find out, won't we? For the sake of NSF, I hope it doesn't. Just put it that way, because I want the entire team to focus on Artemis 2 at once. I want the entire team to focus on Flight 12 when it comes around. Because I know
nice.
for a fact that Max and D want to be there for Flight 12 without a doubt.
Yes.
So please, no, I'm gonna say it doesn't happen, and I don't want it to happen. Period.
I'm gonna say though.
Okay.
Oh well, Max. No. You go.
Well, no. All I was going to say is yes. D and I do 100% want to be there. It is a very big part in our coverage here, and having our cameras on site would be a real treat. So yes, we would love to be there.
Alex, are you gonna?
Yeah.
Or-
So what I was gonna say is that we did have the other day that communications permit request that SpaceX filed with the Federal Communications Commission. In I think it is April 7th. Yeah, April 7th.
After
So, yeah, it will be after Artemis, but also at the same time, Artemis can easily delay, right? Like it can hop another launch period, in which case we will be talking like end of April, beginning of May. But then at the same time, do we really think this is launching like sort of mid-April? It could easily also delay, right? Like Flight 12 can also be slipping like a couple of weeks or something like that. And when you start thinking about it, the chances that they both are in the same window or like same week within days of each other and things like that are not that small when you think about that. So I don't know. I think there's a point there. I don't want it to be the case because as we were mentioning before, Max, D, and all the folks out there, I want them to be free for Starship and I want them to be free for Artemis, so we can have the best coverage for both. But also at the same time, it's quite funny.
I still think Flight 12 is going to be April 20th. It could be April 20th, Monday. It's going to be the anniversary of Flight 1.
It's fate, right?
Third, yeah, it's fate. It's absolutely fate. Like, come on.
You know what? If Artemis 1 was to launch on April 1st and Flight 12 happened on April 20th, like that would be best case scenario.
Yeah.
Because at that point we get a daytime launch of SLS, and we have the entirety of the mission being able to be covered without any major interference, and then we have Flight 12 comedically happening on not only obviously the funny of it launching on 420, but also the anniversary of Flight 1. So I think that's best case scenario. But I think that might be asking for too much. But if you don't ask, you don't receive.
Right? Exactly.
Can I hit another thing here, because you mentioned Flight 1? I actually have a bit of a spreadsheet flexing, I guess, which is
Shocker.
we're talking about how long it's taken. Oh my gosh, like flight 11 was so long ago. It was just October 13th. Like, we're talking
Just.
yes, just because if you think about that, like we're not even past 4.5 months since then. And
4.5
if
months
it
is a
were,
long time, Alex.
it is not. For the Starship program, it is not. It is actually not even the longest turnaround time if it were to be in April. Like, if it were to be in April, it will be the second longest, but not the longest. The longest turnaround time that we have had so far has been between Flight 1 and 2. And Flight 1 and 2 was a whole 211 days, which, if you do a little bit of math, it's about 7 months or so. So if they launch Flight 12 before May 13th, if they do that before May 13th, for like the longest that we've ever seen so far. So 15 and the first flight of Starship, so it can be worse. Just saying.
Yeah, but I think the circumstances here are quite different, though. I think that we've become so spoiled by sub 3 month turnarounds between flights.
Eh. But they're changing both ship and booster.
The funny moment is while this is likely going to be the second longest turnaround time between flights, this is, and I've said it many times, this is the longest amount of time we've ever gone without a vehicle at the launch site. Like for any testing or anything at all. Even if you even go back to the SN1, SN2, SN3, 4, 5, 6 days, like they were having vehicles out at the launch site for testing for every couple of months or every like 2 or 3 months or anything, and we haven't had a vehicle at the launch site for testing. So I can't wait till Booster 19 rolls out. Hopefully it's soon, maybe within the next week or two, because they're taking apart that scaffolding, so maybe that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Please,
and
please.
then they got to reinstall one of the stabilizer arms on the sticks before they can lift it. But I want to see the after that booster, and I want to see a static fire in that trench badly.
I do want to bring up one point though. Like, what is that engine testing will like? What will it look like? Because it's like, it's a new booster, new engine, new pad. Everything is new on that. Do we think it's gonna be sort of like Booster 7 when we saw that kind of testing? Because it's true that we haven't had a vehicle out at the pad for a while, but it's been for a good reason. We have a whole brand new launch site now, or rather pad. It's the same.
Honestly,
site, but,
I don't think so, because now SpaceX at least has a lot of history and experience handling super heavy boosters. Granted, this is a new design, but still handling a booster of this size on the chopsticks and being able to move it with it, and also having it moved over to the launch mount, and also making sure a booster of that size fits with any of its QDs or quick disconnects or hold down clamps, anything. So I don't think it's not quite the same. But again, brand new parts. There are going to probably be maybe some minor fitment issues with some small stuff, but I don't think it's like that.
Well, the problem is the QDs have completely changed. The hold-out arms are completely changed. The clamps are completely changed. The pumps are completely changed. The subcooler setup is completely changed. The size of the lines between the pumps and the pad has changed. The entire service structure system for putting propellant into the vehicles has changed. The vehicle itself, the engine
and here we go.
There's the deluge. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Gino.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, it sure looks like a perfect world.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation.
Sequence.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
Oh my god.
Yikes.